So I was reading different articles today, and I saw something on Jews News, and title of the article is North Korean conflict will start end times war, heralding not Jewish Messiah, reveals mysterious prophecy. I don't know what in the world the title makes absolutely no sense. And then I started reading into part of the article, and it starts reaching for things that are not written in Scripture. And so what I want to do right now is, they were talking about how the 10 tribes are going to apparently come from Ethiopia and help the Jews. And this time of this war comes, and they're going to help the Jews keep the Sabbath and the Torah and all of that. Ethiopia? Okay. Once again, refusing to read the words of the prophets. So let us go to the words of the prophets and let's see what they have to say. Let's go to Isaiah 59. And you will notice some similarities if you read the words of Paul at all. You will notice some similarities here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to read this with Strong's Concordance as help, because the King James translators mistranslated yet again. They are very good. The translators of King James is very good at one thing, and that's mistranslations. So, we'll start in verse 16. And he saw that there was no man, and wondered that there was no intercessor. Therefore his own arm brought salvation to him, and his righteousness it sustained him, speaking of Jehovah himself. For he put on righteousness as a breastplate, and he put on a helmet of salvation upon his head, and he put on the garments of vengeance. Oh, people don't like that word. It's coming, folks. Vengeance for all the things that the nations have done to Israel is coming. He put on the garments of vengeance for clothing, and was clad with zeal as a cloak. According to their deeds, accordingly he will repay fury to his adversaries, recompense to his enemies, to the coastlands. The coastlands of what? Okay. All right. So, what great body of water is on the Israeli coast? Well, it's the Great Sea, the Mediterranean Sea, right? Right. What else is on the coastlands of the Mediterranean Sea? Rome and Rome's followers. Yes, those are the enemies he's talking about on the coastlands. They are going to be repaid with recompense for what they did to the Jews. And let me stop right here briefly for a moment. And as I was doing a little research on my family history yesterday, I learned that back in the 1600s that one of my either great grandparents fled the island of Sardinia. Now, the Romans used to dump the Jews. They scoop up the Jews out of Rome and dump them into the island of Sardinia. And then, of course, what was it, in the 1500s or whenever it was that Christopher Columbus made his voyage, the Spanish Inquisition forced much of the Jews out of Sardinia. Many had to hide their identity were forced to become Christians or die, and those are the enemies that he's speaking of here. Verse 19, let us carefully listen to the words of Jehovah. We are going to find out where the majority of Israel, lost sheep of the house of Israel, are going to come from. Which direction? So, shall they fear the name of Jehovah from the west? You see, Israel's persecutors are mainly in the west. And these were the people who enslaved Israel. Not just the Jews, but the lost sheep of the tribes of Israel. I will continue and then I will show something. When I'm done with this, then I'm going to go to Joel 3 and I'm going to go to Hosea. I'll try to remember that. So shall they fear the name of Jehovah from the west. Now I'll have to go to Strong's because they did not do the rest of this translating accurately. When he comes gloriously from the rising of the sun. So they're going to see him coming from the east. And they're going to fear those who live west of Israel when they see him coming in from the east. Yes, you see, he's going to be coming from the east. When the enemy shall come in like a flood. Revelation, book of Revelation, where it talks about the woman and the dragon, how the dragon cast out a flood after the woman. When the enemy comes in as a flood, the Spirit of Jehovah, it says here, shall lift up a standard against them. Well, that's not exactly what it says. It says the Spirit of Jehovah will cause them to flee, to run for their lives. Verse 20, and the Redeemer shall come to Zion. Now the Redeemer has to be a kinsman. Kinsman. So this Redeemer, Jehovah is the Redeemer, but he sends a Redeemer. See, it has to be a kinsman. The Messiah. The word Gaal. 1350 in the Hebrew. To redeem, act as a kinsman. The Redeemer shall come to Zion and will return or turn transgression from Jacob, saith Jehovah. How do I know? Now here, see the way they got it translated, it says right here, unto them that turn from transgression in Jacob, saith Jehovah. How do I know that that's not correct? Are you ready? I'm going to give you the correct. I will finish this, and I'm going to give you the correct translation that Paul gave. Verse 21, as for me, this is my covenant with them, saith Jehovah. My spirit, my speech, or it says, yes, my spirit and my words have I put in your mouth, shall not depart out of your mouth, nor out of the mouth of your seed, nor out of the mouth of your seed's seed, saith Jehovah, from henceforth, from that day. Notice not from before, no, from that day and forever. Now let's go to Romans 11. let's see how Paul translated it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read Isaiah 59 and verse 20 again, and then I'm going to read the way Paul translated it. And the Redeemer shall come to Zion, and unto them that turn from transgression in Jacob, saith Jehovah. Romans 11, verse 26. And so all Israel shall be saved. As it is written, there shall come out of Zion the deliverer, and shall turn away ungodliness from Jacob. You see how Paul translated that? No, you see, the Redeemer, the kinsman that will come out of Zion, the deliverer, is going to get rid of the ungodliness from Jacob. You see, for this is my covenant unto them, when I shall take away their sins. And we have here verse 21, and as for me, this is my covenant with them, saith Jehovah. My spirit and speech, which I have put in your mouth, shall not depart out of your mouth, nor out of the mouth of your seed, nor out of the mouth of your seed's seed, saith Jehovah, from that day and forward. So you see, folks, sometimes the translators get it wrong, and in this case, Paul helped to get it right. Now, concerning the idea, now I want to get one thing straight. There are going to be people who are righteousness that are going to be brought in. Don't take this the wrong way. What I'm saying is, here's what I'm going to do. Matthew 22 and verse 10. This is talking about bidding people to the marriage supper. What is the marriage supper? That is when the kingdom, the David's royal family line, is married back to Jerusalem. Jerusalem being the wife, the bride of the Messiah being the king on David's throne. I lost my place. Matthew 22 and verse 10. So those servants went out into the highways and gathered together all as many as they found, both bad and good, and the wedding was furnished with guests. So, the bad and the good are going to be brought in. The bad and the good from what? I will show you in Isaiah 30. All right, I will... So I will start in verse 15. For thus saith Jehovah, Elohim, the Holy One of Israel, in returning and rest shall you be saved. So when he returns Israel, when he returns them, they will be saved. In quietness and in confidence shall be your strength. But in former days you would not. But you said, No, for we will flee upon horses, therefore shall you flee. We will ride upon the swift, therefore they that pursue you will also be swift. 1,000 shall flee at the rebuke of one, and at the rebuke of 5, you shall flee, till you be left as a beacon on top of a mountain and as a sign upon the hill. Then comes Jehovah's mercies. And therefore will Jehovah wait, so that he may be gracious unto you. And therefore he will be exalted, that he may have mercy upon you. Mercy for what? Mercy to a sinning Israel. For Jehovah is an Elohim of judgment. Blessed are they that wait for him. For the people, that's the people of Israel, shall dwell in Zion at Jerusalem. You shall weep no more. He will be very gracious unto you at the voice of your cry. When he shall hear it, he will answer you. So there's going to be a point in time where he will hear Israel's cry again. And though Jehovah gave you bread of adversity and the water of affliction, yet shall not your teachers be removed, forced into a corner any more, but your eyes shall see your teachers, and your ears shall hear a word behind you saying, this is the way, walk you in it. When you turn to the right hand and when you turn to the left. Now listen carefully, folks. Verse 22. That time, it says, you will defile the coverings, not beforehand, but at that time. Because they're sinning Israel. You will defile the covering of your graven images of silver, and the ornaments of your molten images of gold. You shall cast them away like a menstruous cloth, and you shall say unto it, get you hence. You see, when he comes to save them, because it's the appointed time, not because they are righteous, no. For his own name's sake is he going to do this. It is written. Then, once he saves them from their enemy, they're going to throw away their idols. And they're going to relearn the truth and his statutes and judgments. So, Ezekiel 36. Let's start at verse 16. Moreover, the word of Jehovah came unto me, saying, Son of man, when the house of Israel dwelt in their own land, they defiled it by their own ways and by their doings. Their way was before me as the uncleanness of a removed woman. Wherefore I poured out my fury upon them for the blood that they have shed upon the land, and the idols wherewith they had polluted it. And I scattered them among the heathen. And they were dispersed through the countries according to their way and according to their doings I judged them. And then they entered into the heathen, the lands of the heathen, where they went. They profaned my holy name. When they said unto them, These are the people of Jehovah, and they are gone forth out of his land. But I had pity for my holy name, which the house of Israel had profaned among the heathen where they went. Therefore, say to the house of Israel, Thus says Jehovah Elohim, I do not do this for your sakes, O house of Israel, but for my holy name's sake, which you have profaned among the heathen where you went. And I will sanctify my great name, which was profaned among the heathen. For you have profaned in the midst of them, and the heathen shall know that I am Jehovah, saith Jehovah Elohim, when I will be sanctified in you before their eyes. For I will take you from among the heathen, and gather you out of all countries, and bring you into your own land first, not because they're good, No, it has nothing to do with it. Not because their righteousness. No, no, no. Their righteousness has nothing to do with it. So he's going to take them out of the land of the heathen. And then what is he going to do? Then will I sprinkle clean water upon you, verse 25, and you shall be clean from all your filthiness, and from all your idols will I cleanse you. So you see, they're going to be brought into that land first, and then they're going to have to get rid of all their idolatry. So the house of Israel are not Torah keepers today. They are still idolatrous, living among the heathen in the West. Yes, remember what I said in the West. I said I was going to go to Hosea, and I'm going to go there. They're not coming in from Ethiopia. They're coming from the West. Hosea 9. Is it 9? Hosea 11, that's what it is. And starting in verse 8, this is, let's see here. Oh, I'll just start in verse 1. It won't take long. When Israel was a child, then I loved him and called my son out of Egypt. As they called them, so they went from them. They sacrificed unto Baal and made sacrificial smoke to graven images. I taught Ephraim also to go, taking him by his arms. And they knew not that I healed them. I drew them with cords of a man, with bands of love, and I was to them to be exalted. The yokes on their jaws, and I laid meat unto them. He shall not return into the land of Egypt, but the Assyrian shall be no king, because they refuse to return. The sword shall abide on his cities, and shall consume his branches and devour them because of their own counsels. And my people are bent to backsliding from me. Though they called them to the Most High, none at all would exalt him. But still, you see, folks, he still could not turn his back on Israel, could he? Verse 8 says, How shall I give you up, Ephraim? How shall I deliver you up to the enemy, Israel? How shall I make you as Admah and Zeboim, the sister cities of Sodom and Gomorrah? My heart is changed within me. My repentings are kindled together. He's changed his mind. He will not destroy Israel. I will not execute the fiercest of my anger. I will not return to destroy Ephraim. So when he returns, when Jehovah the Father returns, it won't be to destroy Ephraim. No, no, no. For I am Elohim and not a man, the Holy One in the midst of you, and I will not enter into the city. Actually, that's not what it says. It says, I will not enter ear, which is excitement. See if there's any. It does in some places say fortified heights or city or town. So I guess that might be correct. I will not enter into the city. They, who is they? In verse 10. Verse 10, the they are Ephraim and the other tribes of Israel that are with them. They shall walk after Jehovah. When he roars like a lion, they will walk after him. They will come trembling from the sea. Sea from the Mediterranean Sea. And when the people of Israel back in those days, when they spoke of the sea, they meant west. And that's the reason why it's translated as west. And indeed, when you go into Strong's Concordance 3220, it's Yam or Yam in the Hebrew. And it is sea, seacoast, seas, seashore. South was only used once, but west used 59 times. So, as far as direction is concerned, it is west. So, they will be coming from the west. And of course, it also reads in other scripture, other passages, out of the land of the north. Oh, yes, Jeremiah 3:16. Or is it 3:18? Jeremiah 3:18. And in those days the house of Judah shall walk with the house of Israel together, the ones that are not already there in Israel. And they shall come together out of the land of the north, to the land where I have given for inheritance unto your fathers. So north and west. So this idea that they're going to be coming from across some strange river is not written in the Bible. Coming from the coastlands of the sea, coming from the west, coming from the north. That's written in the prophets. And they're not going to be righteous. No. We just read in Matthew 22, both good and bad. We read that he's going to bring them in, and then he's going to wash them clean from their sins and get rid of all their idols. We read that there shall come out of Zion the deliverer who will turn ungodliness from Jacob, written in Romans 11, verse 26. So people need to get this idea out of their heads that somehow that Israel must be clean before Jehovah can save them. That is absolute falsehood. That is absolute nonsense. And in fact, it is satanic. Because it is Jehovah that's going to have to clean Israel. And he will send Messiah then to turn all their unrighteousness, all their uncleanness away from them. After he brings them back. After he brings them back, he will circumcise their hearts. After he brings them back. Not for Israel's sake, no, for his holy name's sake. So please let not people deceive you into thinking that the nations can run all over Israel, do whatever they want to them, because Israel is unrighteous. That is absolutely incorrect. That is wrong. That is also satanic. So hopefully I have dispelled some myths that are being passed about and using the words of the prophets, which are essentially the words of Jehovah himself.